Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We are so thrilled to have you with us. Today, we're going to be going over quite a bit on financials and also how you can improve your NOI, expense management. So lots ahead. As you all are coming through, if you want to give us a quick hello in the chat, you certainly can. My name's Alexandra Alvarado. I'm the Director of Marketing and Education here at the American Apartment Owners Association. And today we have with us our guest speaker, Omer Menashe. He is the co-founder and CRO at Clear. And he basically, Clear is a spend management platform built specifically for property managers and service companies with over a decade of experience in digital operations and financial automation. Omer has helped hundreds of property owners and managers cut administrative overhead, gain real-time financial visibility, and maximize NOI, which we all love. He specializes in making complex financial processes simple and efficient, giving operators back their time while ensuring cleaner books and better tax outcomes. So it might seem early to start thinking about taxes, but this is really the time when you want to start getting as organized as possible to make things easier for the next tax season and really get a better financial overview of your portfolio. So Omer is going to show us how to do that and how to do it with Clear specifically. Now, before we get into that, though, I want to just mention we are recording this full thing as usual. We will be sending it to you tomorrow, along with the slides and Omer's information if you did want to get in contact and or have any questions afterward. Speaking of questions, we will be having a Q&A Q&A portion to this topic at the end of the presentation. So feel free to put in your questions in the Q&A box, not the chat preferably. Q&A makes it a lot easier for us to keep track. So there is a separate section for Q&A that you'll see on your Zoom options. And also I want to launch our first poll question of the day to get us started. We want to know how many of you are currently using any tools or software for managing property expenses or utility bills. So it might be, a utility billing platform or perhaps some other kind of software like QuickBooks, Appfolio, Buildium. Those are some options there. Or maybe you're a little bit manual, a little old school, and you use spreadsheets and manual processes still, which is, I think doable up to a certain point. You might be growing, your portfolio might be better managed with something more automated. So we're going to definitely go back to that. And then also, if you don't track expenses in detail, which, we've all been guilty of maybe not tracking everything we should. So let's see what the results are here once you all get your answers in. It looks like a lot of you have participated. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and show some results here. So it looks like 28% of you are using some sort of accounting software. 64% of you, the majority, are in the spreadsheets and manual. So I'm glad you're here. And 8% don't currently track expenses in detail. So very interesting results there. I think you'll all find, even the ones that are using software, some of the advantages here of potentially using Clear. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing those results. Any comments there, Omer, so far?
No, maybe I'll jump in and say hi to everybody. Really good to be here. Thank you for having me, Alexandra. I started as a consultant for exactly these things. And so the results of the poll don't really surprise me. A lot of folks still obviously use a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of manual work, and we'll definitely touch on that as well. It's a valid way. It works. It just takes quite a bit of time, obviously.
Sure. And we all could use a little more time in our lives, not less. So, and then one more question as well before we start into the presentation completely. What's your biggest pain point when it comes to managing property finances? So, a few different pain points. I can relate to a few of these. Certainly, the manual data entry is an issue, or collecting receipts, not being able to assign expenses in an easy way. You're kind of maybe mentally keeping notes or literally keeping post-it notes. I hope not, but that might be the case for some of you. And I like this one. Tax time is a mess. So Definitely check all those that apply. You can check more than one answer. Maybe all of these apply to you. So we'd love to see what the majority of you are really struggling with so we can tailor the conversation a little towards maybe some of these bigger pain points. And Omar, just from what I'm seeing come in so far, 60% of people are saying manual data entry and reconciliation. So that's pretty huge. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. So that's great. And then I'll give you all a few more seconds here to enter in your responses, and I'll show you the results. All right, here we go. Was this what you were expecting, Omar?
Honestly, it was exactly what I was expecting. Pretty much in this order. This is part of the course. It does show that this industry, while it has a lot of, amazing benefits and it's a lot of fun and interesting and all that, the pain points are pretty clear and pretty standardized across the board. Nobody likes manual data entry. We're definitely going to touch on this today as well.
Good. Well, good to know that you all are not alone. So I'll stop that poll and get off camera and let Omar take it away from here and give you some solutions to some of those pain points.
Perfect. All right. I'm excited to get this started. So I got this slide for you guys. I am much more of a hands-on show rather than tell type person, and we'll do a lot of that. So as you can see, I only have 4 slides, and we're going to jump right into what is interesting. But as you can see, the daily headaches are pretty much what we've seen in the poll, collecting the receipts, reconciling them with transactions, bills, particularly utility bills. Every unit has 2 or 3 at least. Always a pain in the butt. And then either missed payments or double payments. Nobody likes it when their tenants get their power shut off, which is why everything's on auto pay, but then it's hard to keep track of. And then that translates into hours of manual reconciliation and bookkeeping. And maybe as an overarching, it's never anyone's urgent pain point, the real-time visibility into spend, but it's always something that's in the back of the mind. And that's also something we're going to talk about today. So I showed you the problems. What if all of these things can happen? Receipts will flow in automatically into some sort of a dashboard and then into your property management system. What if bills are tracked, paid, and reconciled on time for a change? What if we can easily tie every expense, every piece of spend to the right owner or property? And of course, all the dashboards and the real-time visibility into everything. And obviously that also helps with tax time. And maybe just to kind of take a step back, like I said, I used to do this as a consultant. I used to build automatic processes for PMs and real estate companies. And when I realized the pain is just too great and we don't really want the mishmash of automations duct taped together and kind of working, I became one of the co-founders of Clear. And Clear is an expense and spend automation platform for property management companies. We integrate with every major property management system. And Alexander, I would love to know what platforms people are on. I know we have a question for that, so feel free to get that going in terms of the Q&A. Thank you. I'll keep talking. You guys can fill that out just so we know. But that's part of the secret sauce, right? There's no point in having another siloed place where all the information lives separately. With Clear, everything is kind of on a two-way sync between platform and your PMS. We do help over 3,500 now property management companies, and we have under 1 million units that we have visibility into, which helps in all sorts of ways. I will obviously expand on that. And I would love to show you how we actually do that. We're going to have a Q&A section later, but I'm all about the interactive stuff. So if you have questions, feel free to let me know. I will stop and answer as best I can. So let's jump into Clear. And this is kind of what Clear looks like. Clear has 2 main modules, which reflect the 2 main pain points of PMs. One is the accounts payable side of things, so paying the bills, utility or otherwise, tracking them, etc. But also the credit card expense management side of things. So these are the 2 main things that people or companies need to reconcile, and these are the 2 main things that we have built this for. And we're going to start with the credit card transaction side of things. And so I will say that the first problem of reconciling credit card transactions from what we've seen is the fact that the receipt comes in very, very late. And since the receipt comes in late, it's really hard to track what an expense have gone to in terms of which property, which owner, etc. So the first thing we solved for is we went ahead and signed deals with Visa, MasterCard, and Amex all separately to the tune of getting the real-time feed of the transactions. And why it matters is because now when a team member, a PM, goes to Home Depot to buy a faucet for a unit, because we have real-time transaction feeds, we can text them to say, hey, Bob, you just spent $25 at Home Depot, 7-Eleven, whatever it is. Please code it. And there's a link on that text message. That link leads to a mobile form. Very simple. We already know the amount and we already know which merchant. Now we ask for the receipt. Now this person has the receipt in their hand right there and then. The transaction just happened. And so it's much easier for them to do it right now. They will add in the receipt. They can code it to whatever they want, or rather, whatever the business owner wants. This can be units, properties, owners. This is super flexible, any sort of accounting data like the GL. And they can even add a small note here and then submit it. And once they see the confetti, that part is done. They can throw away the receipt and nobody has to track that anymore. What the back office or the admin person sees is this screen. So this is a table of all of the transactions. The date, the card, the team member, the merchant, the amount, and then this particular account is connected to Buildium, just so I can show you some of the integration stuff, but this is relevant for every PMS basically. So we would pull all of the properties, all the units, all the job orders, the vendors, the categories, etc., and everything can be coded. And like I said, it's pretty flexible in the sense that we can have the field team member code one thing, and then the admin code other pieces of information. Obviously, we layer a lot of guardrails. So in this example, the transaction is for $5, but the receipt uploaded is for $164. So there's no match. And that's why the row is colored red. And we also show that warning here that the amounts don't match. We will also show that same warning, by the way, on the mobile form that the team member has. So right there and then, if they might be uploading the wrong photo, we'll let them know. And then once everything is coded, we know the property, we know the unit, we know the project, etc., we can simply sync it, again, in this case, into Buildium, but it could be to any PMS. This will create this bill in Buildium, fully matched, fully reconciled, with a payment recorded against it, because that's how Buildium does things. Credit card expenses are also bills. So this is just a quick kind of me addressing the reconciliation pain. Everything comes in together. Everything is automated. Obviously, there's a lot of rules. And we even have our AI trying to predict the right property and the right vendor and the right category based on how you have previously categorized expenses. So that's on the credit card expense management module. There's obviously a lot of other things here like rules and stuff, but I'll leave it for a more in-depth look later. One thing I should mention is that we do also offer a full approval policy engine. So you can create an approval policy for anything. If you have team members and team leaders, the team leaders can approve the expenses of their team and create reports out of that. Jumping into the accounts payable side of things. So like I said, that's all your vendor bills, utility bills, etc. The number one thing we can do that we're very proud of is that we are able to log into your utility bill portals and grab the utility bills automatically from there. So you don't have to download it. You don't have to wait for an email. A lot of these portals don't send the bill by email. They'll just send you an email saying, hey, you have a bill ready in the portal, which is a little annoying. So we would pull that in automatically. We put a ton of effort into our OCR, and in full humbleness, I would say that we are best in class, especially in the way that we break down data on these documents. And this goes for both the receipts and the invoices. So for every invoice, we would pull out the vendor, the invoice number, the date, the due date, if there's a PO as well, and the amount and line items. Now, because we pull all the vendors from your PMS, so again, Buildium in this case, we know that there's a Wind River supply on Buildium, we will automatically make that match because the invoice says Wind River supply. We would also pull out all of this information, all the line items. You can, of course, change it, add line items, collapse all the line items if you don't want it. But we'll start off pretty accurate, a pretty accurate reflection of what the invoice shows. For each line item, we can assign it to a property, of course, a category, very similar to the credit card expense side of things. And that makes it pretty much good to go. Clear also supports actually paying the vendors. So we would create either a check that is shipped by us from your bank account directly to your vendor. We also support regular ACH, as well as next day ACH for those vendors that need to be paid right there and then. You can decide which of the bank accounts that you own would facilitate that payment. And if you have another way to pay, you can simply select it being off platform. And that means that Clear would assume that it's been paid and you know where it's going to be paid from. The payment account comes from the PMS, Buildium in this case. This way we know where to record the payment against when you sync it into Buildium. And right below that, we have our paper trail. So this is obviously much more robust when we have the approval policy, which I'll show in a second, but we can create a paper trail for every invoice, who changed what, who updated what, and as that invoice progresses through the payment stages, it will get recorded here. You can also add a comment to your team, like, Bob, please review the amount. For example, you can comment, it will come up under the same paper trail log. Most companies obviously would want to create the approval engine, or rather approval rules, and we have a very, very robust approval engine. You can really create an anything then anything type rule. So if the invoice is for a specific property, or if the amount is over $5,000 for a specific vendor, then add a third layer of approval. It could go up to 20 levels of approval. I think the most we have is 5 at the moment. Never seen more, but we support a very, very robust flow there. Additionally, we also allow for recurring invoices. So if you have that vendor or that bill that gets created or needs to be paid every month on the 5th, you can create a template for that bill and you can decide how often it repeats. Let's say once a month on the 5th. And what Clear will do then is it will create a bill in this list every 5th of the month for the amount you said for that vendor, so you don't have to keep uploading it over and over and over. And lastly, we also support batch payments. And so batch payments would be if this is the same vendor and the same day that we need to be paid, that we need to pay the invoice, we can batch that payment and save a bit of money on payments and, wire a lump sum or send a check for a lump sum. Some more cool things about AP, we will automatically grab the property from whatever kind of string the invoice has. So for example, a cleaning company would send an invoice and at the top of the invoice it will be service to and then the address of the property. It doesn't say necessarily it's a property. Service to is the indication of which property they serviced. We will automatically capture that, understand that it's actually the property, understand that it's your property, and automatically code it to that property. So again, less reconciliation, less matching, less manual work. We are all about the automation here. Moving on, and Alexandra, you know what? Because we just finished the AP module, maybe let's do the next poll question as well.
Great. Yes, I just pulled it up. Who handles bookkeeping and expense tracking in your organization? Imagine many of our AOA members are what we consider DIY landlords. So the do-it-myself, I'm sure, will be our number one. But if you happen to have an in-house team or employee, this is also a great way to incorporate them into the loop of what you're doing, and or if you outsource to an accountant or bookkeeper as well. So I will leave that up for a little bit longer, maybe another 30 seconds or so, and then I could share the results with you, Momera, once that comes through.
Good. Then in that case, maybe I'll quickly jump into the vendor side of things for AP that I skipped while folks answer the poll. We do keep a list of your vendors. These vendors can be onboarded themselves by sending them a link to the onboarding that will provide their name, their address, their bank account information, or address for check mailing. And it will also serve as their portal. So when after they've onboarded, you start paying them, they start sending you invoices, which they can do by sending it directly to this email. They would then be able to see the status of all of their invoices. Basically, they won't have to ask you, hey, when is this getting paid? What's going on? They can always see the status.
Very nice. All right, I'll share these results here just so you can see 91% do it themselves. So we're talking to the people who are spending the most time and energy sorting all this stuff out. So a lot of you will relate here to, I hope, some of these benefits we're talking about.
We're talking to the people feeling the pain.
Yes.
Okay. And then maybe one final kind of benefit or difference to how we do AP versus how others do AP. Bill.com is the one that everybody knows. Obviously, a wonderful platform. They've been around for a very long time. The main difference, beyond the fact that we are tailored specifically for property management, is that we don't do the triangle payment thing, right? So if you use Bill and you need to pay a vendor, then you pay Bill. Bill sends out a check or wires your vendor. We don't see a need to be the middleman. It's more cumbersome, it takes longer, and it's more expensive. So instead, if you initiate a payment using Clear to a vendor, that payment goes from your bank account to the vendor's bank account. Nobody else is in that. A few of our smaller modules that are well liked, let's call it, is our employee reimbursement module. Sometimes, for whatever reason, your team members need to use their own cash, their own money to buy things for the business, and then obviously they expect to be reimbursed. We support that. They can text the receipt to the phone number that they'll have of us. They can also email that, and it will create something similar to what we see on the transactions table, but specifically for employee reimbursements, which also enables us to approve or reject that request for reimbursement. When they submit a reimbursement, they have to tell us the merchant. We will make sure it matches the receipt. They'll also have to tell us what information. They'll have to give us the information that we need to collect. So I spent this money for this property. It should have been this category in this unit, etc. They don't have to, or you don't have to collect that, but you certainly can. We also collect miles that way. So if they report that they need to be reimbursed for miles, that is also something we absolutely support. And another fan favorite is our pretty robust report builder. And so you can create a report for anything. You can create a report for expenses by a team member, by a card, for an owner, for a property, for a unit, for a category, or a vendor. And they would kind of look something like this. This one doesn't have a lot of data in it, but if we did have transactions from, let's do JKLO. Few JKLOs here. Let's find another one. Okay, well, you'll have to take my word for it. I can't find a team member that has the transactions here. But if we did, it would have all of the credit card transaction amounts, all of the reimbursement requests for this team member. If there were invoices, then that as well. We'd have a graph of the transactions over time. We'll know a list of all the merchants, all the properties, and all the categories, kind of in a table in terms of how much of the spend was allocated to this category or this property, etc. And a running list of all the transactions and all the reimbursements. Two very cool features on this report builder. Number one, you can download receipts, meaning if we want to create an owner report and we just want a PDF of all of the receipts that we've had for your particular property or properties, we click this button and we get that PDF. just a running list of receipts attached in one single PDF file, very useful to send the owners. The second is the fact that once we save this report, and we call it, let's call it report 2, now we have this share button. And this share button basically copies to clipboard a link to this report. It is publicly accessible, so you can give it to the owner. They will only be able to see this report. They won't be able to change the filtering, of course, if you can't see other owners' data or anything else, but specifically their report will be visible and it will be continuously updated. So they can always access it. They can always see the information in real time. And that's something a lot of PMs really, really, really love. Quickly jumping into custom fields, because that affects a lot of different things. Clear is a very, very flexible and very dynamic platform. A lot of management, CRM, sometimes PMS platforms are kind of, here's the right way to do things. This is how you should do it. And our platform supports exactly that flow. We took the opposite approach, which is making sure that this is completely fitting whatever way you run your business. And God knows that PMs have many different ways of running their business. No two PMs are alike. And part of that is our custom field optionality. And so if I jump quickly into the transactions again, you'll see that we have all of the core fields. So date, source, member, amount, etc. We have the integration fields. So the property, the unit, the project, the vendor, etc. Then we have these ones. And these are what we call custom fields. These can be anything you want. So this one has company, territory, and PO/job. This could be, for example, for a PM company that has multiple territories, they do want to categorize transactions or bills for those data points. PO job is, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. I don't know why we would need project and PO job, but again, this custom field is very flexible. So if we feel like we don't need PO and job, and what we really want is, I don't know, pre-approved, it can be, this is an existing field, so I can't change it right now. Pre-approved. And let's say the options are yes, no, and I don't know. And now we have this fourth field added. And if I go back to transactions, we will now have the pre-approved field, and we can code this to anything. And the best part here is that, like I said in the beginning, what the back office sees and what the field team sees does not have to be the same thing. This is where you decide how that works. So for example, we have 3 options for each field, for each option: not available, optional, or required. And so the project is currently not available, but we can definitely make it optional. So they'll see the field on the mobile form, but they won't have to fill it out. Or it can be required, and then we absolutely need them to tell us what this project was for when they report the expense, and they won't be able to report the expense without letting us know. Obviously, it can be any sort of combination of these options. While we're on the screen, I'll also show you that we have multiple ways of capturing those receipts. Option number 1 is, of course, to send that text message immediately when the transaction happens. Sometimes those are missed, forgotten, the person's busy, whatever it is. They can always just text the receipt directly to the number. Instead of us prompting it, they can prompt it by just sending in a photo of a receipt. They can also email it. And we even have a Chrome extension for those digital receipts. Let's say Amazon, you install the Chrome extension, you can capture it directly from your browser screen. You don't have to download it, and you can even code it from your browser. It's pretty cool.
Real quick, I'm going to take you off video, Omar. I don't want you to think anything's wrong. Someone mentioned that it's hard for them to see. So I'm going to take us off video so we can see it a little more zoomed in, just in case anyone's struggling to see it, just for a little bit, okay?
Sound good. It looks much better than I do. Is this better now?
Yes, I think that looks much better. There we go.
All right, we'll start over from the beginning then. No, but if there were questions, if you'd like me to review anything, I'm more than happy to, of course. Moving on to purchase orders. So a lot of times PMs issue purchase orders for larger projects. Maybe you're doing some renovation, things like that. And then that purchase order is made out of multiple different parts and also needs to be tracked across multiple different invoices. So we actually have a module for that. You can upload your purchase order. You can assign different bills from the accounts payable screen to a specific PO. Would be done right here. And this way we can track the usage of the PO. We'll know if it's fulfilled, we'll know if it's under, and it's much easier to kind of track where that is. And if your PMS supports POs, we can also sync it into that platform. BillPay does. So in this case, we can sync it and we'll track everything in both places, fully automated and automatic. And Alexandra, I think we have another poll question.
Yes, we do. So just coming on here to ask unit count. So how many units? It's a short answer. So if you all want to put that in there, certainly you could type it in any amount or combination. All right. I'll let that one stay up for a little while you keep going.
Okay. And then maybe we'll end my monologue on the permissions groups. And so this is a relatively new addition to Clear. Sometimes different teams have different peoples on them that need to be doing different things. For example, a team leader that only needs to see their own team's transactions. Or, for example, another team member that is only allowed to code this table, but is not allowed to sync into Buildium. Maybe there's only one person who's allowed to sync things into Buildium. And so we've added the feature for permission groups, and it doesn't have to only be admin and member. It could be admin, it could be front desk, it could be bookkeepers, I don't know, anything you want. And you can kind of decide exactly in a very granular way what that team can do. And once we assign a person to a team, obviously they are constrained by those groups' permissions. So again, I think this kind of goes to speak more about how flexible we've tried making this. It does mean that it takes a setup process, usually pretty quick. Let's call it an hour or two net. But once we've set it up exactly the way your business runs, we are this should be the best possible outcome for you running your business. Maybe quickly just showing you the linked account screen. This is where you would be adding all of your credit cards. We support American Express master accounts. So you add the master account once and then all the children accounts come in under it. Visa and MasterCard a little bit differently. We add each card individually. And then we just tell Clear which payment account on your property management system we should record payments on that card against. These are the team members assigned to the card. This is how we know who's supposed to be getting notifications. And maybe I really will end the presentation on the reminder feature. So like I said, we do send the SMS notification right when the transaction happens. In rare occasions, that person just doesn't do it then. So they can still email that or text it, but let's say they don't do that either. We will remind them every Friday by text and email that they have a certain amount of missing transactions. Let's say, hey Bob, you're missing 7 transactions this week. Please code it. They get a new link. That link has all 7 of them in succession, and they go bam, 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 and they are good to go. You don't have to wait for Friday though. If you feel like reminding Bob on midnight on a Tuesday, you can click this bell button. This will do the same thing whenever you click it. And you can even blame the technology. It's not you, it's the platform. You don't know why, etc. And I can tell you that this button gets a lot of good use from our team members. I do see one question. So, Alexandra, we can go to Q&A now. We can start with that one.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna put you back on camera here, so we're both on. It says here, he mentioned Coltrane. I think he meant Clear. Does Clear do anything for property management as well?
So if the question is, do we offer the standard PMS functionality? The answer is no. Part of, at least in our view, part of the reason why it's hard to be a PMS, it's hard to be a rent manager or a Buildium or an Entrada, and nobody's ever 100% happy with their solution, is because it's a very, very wide solution. They have to do a lot of things. We prefer to do one thing, which is the expense and spend management side of things, but we like to do it really deep and really well and really in depth and really flexible. So we're really focusing on that, and we don't want to step on any toes. Is the truth. The
Mhm.
PMS are wonderful partners. We're on all the marketplaces. We are one of the leading integrations for most of these, and we have a great collaboration going with them.
That's great. And I do agree. I think there's some property management softwares that do the management portion really well, but they do lack a bit in the financials. And it's usually like a rudimentary sort of feature, maybe an afterthought. So having something like this would mean it's like made for this purpose. So it's, you know, you can't be great at all things, unfortunately. Not I think most platforms can't be, at least. Clear, you've specialized in this, so that's great. Margaret's asking, how far back in time can I go?
So it's actually from the moment for expense management, the credit cards, it's from the moment you connect the cards. That's part of the rules that Visa, MasterCard, and Amex apply to us. We cannot see historic data. For bills, you can upload bills from as far back as you want. We will handle them. You can even upload, if you would like to have visibility into past actions. You can even upload already paid bills to Clear. We will always protect you from double paying bills. So if you're trying to upload a bill that has already been uploaded, we will
Hmm.
stop you or let you know that you shouldn't be paying this again. So you can upload previously paid bills, mark them as previously paid. We will definitely take care of that for you.
Very nice. That's great. Glacier asking, can I generate accounting sheets like a P&L?
So Clear is, well, the short answer is no. And the reason is that there is no P. We don't do the P part. We don't do the revenue. We only do the L. So hopefully you're making your P somewhere else, but you can definitely export all of the transactions and the bills to an Excel or a CSV. I haven't shown that. That's a good point. But you can. So if you click here and you export it to Excel, we will create an Excel sheet for you, and you can do whatever you want with. Oh, there we go. And you can do whatever you want with that data. You can upload it to other platforms. You can use it to supercharge your P&L. It's definitely going to create more granular information for the L side of the P&L.
Yes. So we had it in the webinar title. This is really what it is. It's expense management. And in all of the different expenses that you have, how you can better organize that and keep track of everything and have that visibility to it. David is asking, how much do the services cost?
That is a great question. So we charge $149 a month for up to 10 users. A user can be an admin, a back office bookkeeper, or a field staff. And we charge another 50 cents for every invoice uploaded through our platform. We do our very best to be super, super competitive in terms of costs. And obviously, we do offer a special discount for the association's members.
Wonderful. Well, we'll provide that to you guys in the follow-up email tomorrow with the recording as well. A couple more questions, Omar. How do you leverage AI?
That's a great question. Thank you. Obviously, this is 2025. So AI is completely weaved into almost every part of Clear. Like I said earlier, from reading the invoice or the receipt and knowing that this is for a specific property and therefore automatically coding it to that property here, all the way to the actual OCR. The OCR is also powered by Vision AI, not the OCR of the olden days. So we basically pass every receipt, every invoice to 3 different LLM models to make sure we have the exact correct information. In full transparency, AI being what it is, we're at about 99.7 accuracy rate, but still much better than doing it with your own eyes, of course.
Yes.
And then we would also be using it to that is not a receipt. But this is the dangers of doing this on a
I
development.
love that receipt.
Yeah, but I was going to show how you can itemize receipts, and I can't do that with this specific.
Does your dog charge you to pet for pets?
Charges me as a model for the. It's actually the other co-founder's dog, the CEO's dog. So he's the CEO. He gets to do whatever he wants. But let's say these were multiple line items. We actually have the ability to automatically break apart every line item for the receipt and then code it separately. And they can also, the team members can also do it on the mobile form as well. So if you have a Home Depot receipt for $500 because you went for your weekly everything for every unit, we can automatically break it apart using AI, and then automatically code it to the categories and the properties, again, using AI. So while the end result is data and it's what the user needs, hopefully, AI is just, weaved in throughout this entire platform. We are supercharged by AI. And I think that's one of the benefits of having built this platform 3 years ago. We were right on the riding the wave of AI, whereas other competitors have already had such a behemoth of a platform created already that it's much harder for them to integrate all the new AI stuff. Definitely not as easily as we've had it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that you have all that. So it's smart, it knows what to pull. You don't have to really think about it. I think that's really a big plus. Selena says, is there some training on this if we're new to this platform? Maybe video tutorials? I'm thinking maybe a call with one of your team members. Is that something you all offer?
So yes, every onboarding comes with a white glove process with our team members. We onboard you once, and then we have another call a week later once data starts populating. And obviously, we're always around to support. We want to make sure that this is set up exactly the way you want it. Beyond that, what I'm showing right now is that we also have quite a bit of videos for every part of the screen. So it's usually a video plus a text explanation. And so
Nice.
we do have a full video knowledge base plus our own support team. We commit to 12-hour SLA. So once you shoot us a ticket on our support email, you can expect a real answer within 12 hours.
That's great. Shafiq is asking, can you analyze a building to identify that their utilities are higher than comparable properties?
That is a great question, and that's exactly the feature that we're building right now. Not
Cool.
necessarily comparable buildings, but rather for that same property, right? So if there's a
Mhm.
leak, we want to know if suddenly the water bill is 50% higher, there's got to be a problem. AI can catch that pretty easily, and that's something we're adding right now.
That's amazing. And leaks are actually one of the, gosh, I mean, when you don't know that it's happening and then you find out the hard way, who knows how long it's been going on. I think that's absolutely nice to know. In fact, I was even seeing that now there's like leak detectors that you can install and things like that. But I mean, you could see it in the bill, you know? Okay, well, one more question here, unless anyone wants to keep putting any in the Q&A. Which platforms do you integrate with? I saw there were some in the poll that mentioned Buildium. You showed Buildium, but there's plenty of others, and I'd love to get a little more detail on that.
So one of the goals that we've set for ourselves is to be integrated with every platform so long as they offer that ability. So if there's any platform that we don't currently integrate with and you need, tell us, we will build it free of charge. We want to be in every platform. To date, we do Buildium, Rent Manager, Entrata, Appfolio, Rentvine, Hostaway, Guesty, Host Hub. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but again, if you haven't heard the name that you're using right now, shoot us an email, let us know. We will build it. It's literally the thing we're focusing on the most is the integratability.
That's a word. Yeah, and I saw in the poll, we had a couple people say Buildium, Appfolio. About 9 people said other, so a different platform. So for those 9 people, definitely reach out. And others said that they're not using a property management system. So for those who aren't using a property management system, so there isn't something to integrate, how do you see that may be working in their current process?
So we do have quite a few users who are great about managing their properties manually, but they do need to track those expenses. And in that case, obviously, we won't have all the property vendor columns from the property management system, but they create custom fields for those things. So
Mm.
essentially, Clear houses that data. They add all their vendors and all their properties once, and then they can code it just like they do when it's synced to something. Obviously, you can then move it to a property management system, but if there isn't one, there's no need for that. And you can create all of the reports and all of the exports just as you would have with a property management system.
Amazing. Okay. So glad to see there's some flexibility there. I think we are done with questions, and you went through the whole demo here pretty quickly. So, of course, everyone will get the recording. Someone did mention that it was a little hard for them to see some of it zoomed in, but is there a way that if they did want to see the platform or maybe like check it out, like is there a free trial or something where they could go in and play around with it a little and maybe zoom it in on their computer screen?
So me and my team, we're very happy to do a one-on-one demo for anybody who wants to
Wonderful.
see this. They can ask their own particular specific questions. We do offer a 14-day money back guarantee, no question asked. So if we onboard you and the white glove thing and we're connected and everything works and you don't like it still, no harm, no foul. You get all your money back, and hopefully you'll try us again in the future. But fully transparently, that doesn't really happen. Once you're on Clear, once you use it, the value is real.
Well, wonderful. And I'm really glad that you went through all this. At least we have a starting point. And as mentioned, tomorrow we will be sending the recording to everyone along with the special offer for anyone who was on this webinar today. And of course, contact information if you do have questions and you want to set up that follow-up kind of demo just for yourself. You can totally do that, take advantage of it. And as you're leaving, I'd also encourage you to take the exit survey. We'd love to hear what you thought about this webinar. We may have a webinar coming up next week. I'm going to see if I can get it booked. It was on emotional support animals. If not, it'll be the next one, October 16th. I'll be speaking on that topic about fair housing compliance with criminal and eviction data. I hope you'll join me. And Omer, thank you so much for taking the time to go through this. We love hearing about new solutions, and I really like what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. Please reach out to me. It's omer@clyr.io. It's also going to be in the follow-up email, I assume.
Yes.
Just to chat, ask questions, see a demo. I love talking about this stuff, so feel free.
All right. Well, everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thanks, Alexander. Bye bye.